Welcome back to my channel. I'm Amy and I'm playing various games, and today I'll be playing a Twine game that is basically an interactive novel. We've been starting already, we've made an episode on it, and we'll just continue forward and let's see what kind of person we are and how the world is. Let's get started. Alright, so we were there. We were following them at their camp, and we were about to meet Trigger. So, Crave snorts at the question, which Marsh seems to have expected, and takes with a quiet roll of her eyes. Oddly, neither of them seem particularly concerned that Mantis is gone. He's head of security, she explains, which sounded more reasonable before Crave laughed. He's a dick, he said cheerily, leaning casually against the wall. Don't worry too much. It's like tearing off a band-aid. It'll catch a little hair, but it won't be the worst thing to ever happen to you. You frown and are about to respond, when a sudden cackle of static and feedback makes you jump with a suspicious amount of dexterity. Hello there, chirps a very friendly, static-laden voice from a speaker just above your heads. I just set our captain down for a nap, but I can process you in his place. I'll be down in just a second. Marsh is suddenly smiling, despite the fact that the voice was clearly not who she expected. Apparently, she isn't as strict as Pooja. But to be fair, she has more people to work with, which surely requires more flexibility. It'd be an interesting thing to study if you had the time. You're here because there wasn't any reason not to be. Sure, you might have to be a little extra careful, but you get to look at these strange people up close and maybe get a sense for how they're different from you and Pooja. Maybe knowing in advance will just head off any misunderstandings later on. You guessed then that your goal is to watch and to wait. Wherever the intercom stranger was broadcasting from couldn't have been far, because before you can really decide how you're going to ask Marsh what's put her in such a good mood, the doors swing open. Standing there with a grin on his face that matches hers is a man whose black hair is so charmingly ruffled, whose jumpsuit is unzipped and tied so casually, whose demeanor is so open and friendly that you think you might like him already. A new recruit, he asked, his eyes falling on you. Manny shot them in the leg as they were out walking, so we're gonna have to look at the wound, Crave explains, while Marsh brings herself to your side. The stranger's face takes on a sort of faux solemnity as he gives you a grim nod. It's a good thing I came then. Song-ho would only prick himself on the stitches and get mad at you for needing them. And the bright grin is immediately back at his joke, and he makes his way over to you. First he turns to Marsh, the both of them still grinning at each other with a sudden air of coyness. Welcome back, fearless leader, he says, nudging her lightly. She laughs, almost shyly, pressing the back of her hand to her mouth, like she's trying to hide it. Ooh, she has a crush. And he has a crush too. Good to be back, Jinso. This is Zed. She puts her hand on your shoulder and you fight the urge to stiffen up. This is it. This is the medical examination that you have to get out of. Oh no! And to make matters worse, it's not even Crave. All your plans have been centered around trying to get a slightly known element off your scent, but this is a stranger you're even less familiar with. Good to meet you. If you'll follow me, I can have a look at your wound, he says, gesturing you forward. You stand very still, and he gives you a friendly look over his shoulder. Oh, don't worry. If you made it all the way here without fainting, then we probably won't have to put you down. I'm really But so we're not like humans, but we still bled before, right? The doors slam open with such a bang that you jump again, reaching out instinctively for Marsh, realizing very quickly that she's not Pooja and probably thinks it's strange for you to touch her. You back off with a little waist behind her. In the doorway is a man who looks like someone dragged Jinso behind a tractor for several miles before cutting him loose. His hair is longer and tied back with the sole intention of getting it out of his face with no regards to tidiness. And he's let his facial hair grow out in a way that you can't picture on Jinso despite their identical faces. His clothes are thin and layered. When his eyes meet yours, he scolds. Go to bed, Sung-ho. I'll wake you up if anything happens, Sung-ho. And yet here you are, trying to process a stranger without telling me. He says in a tone that isn't quite as openly snappish as Mantis, but with the same brooding resentment. That's not true, Jinsun protests, his mouth already flickering into a smile. I wasn't going to process them at all. That isn't better. Ooh, tension. Crave, who'd also jumped when the doors flew open, reasserts himself into the fray. We found Zed here out in the wilderness, and Mantis shot them. They repeat themselves, oh my god. They're being treated for wounds. What were they doing in the wilderness? He asked, not looking at you, the only person with the answer to that question. Maybe you should ask them, Trigger, Marsh advises, not smiling like Jinso still is, but only watching. So this is Trigger, a battered-looking man who staunchly refuses to look at you. Okay. Good atmosphere. In what you're beginning to put together as a characteristic show of pitiful indifference, his eyes don't even flicker to you, even though you can tell he's tracking you from his peripheral. Okay, this is... why? They would have no motivation to answer truthfully if they were a spy. Sung-ho, be polite, Shinso scolds, slapping the back of his brother's head. Don't mind him, Zed. He just woke up from his nap. This is why I'm in charge of security, because you'd let a tall stranger wander in. I don't think Roach's followers are that well versed in subversive espionage, you paranoid jerk. You wouldn't. I do. Now he turns to look at you, his eyes narrowing suspiciously. Go on, then. Entertain us, since my brother's an expert now. Jinso rolls his eyes with a huff and retreats to stand beside Marsh with his arms folded. Fuck the stupid jerk! He isn't exactly convincing you to confide in him. If it makes him feel better, you can cooperate a little. I just wonder how wise it is to cooperate, but in general, it's good to give them a little bit so that they are at least nice to you. Yeah, I'll just cooperate. You're not going to say anything about Pooja. It isn't even his business, but you suppose, given all that's happened, that you'd also be a little anxious to understand where the stranger was coming from. I lived on a farm. I came back from a walk and found a bunch of strangers tearing everything apart. Infuriatingly, Trigger turns to his brother. Satisfied? How does that prove your point? It's an impossible to prove story. Or it's a person caught up in a bad situation, reacting with a frankly unearned amount of honesty. I wouldn't have gotten myself into this situation in the first place. They didn't. Crave pipes up from the sidelines, gnawing at his cuticles. Manny got them into it. Yeah. Trigger shakes his head in frustration, turning to Marsh. You've heard what I think. What's the order? Zed is our guest for now. We owe them that much for their injury. Just make sure they don't wander somewhere they shouldn't. Marsh turns to smile at you, and you watch her carefully to see if she means you harm. Quite the opposite. You almost feel like a little kindred with her, although you don't understand why. She looks as blank and alien as the rest of them. So you want me to place them? Contrary to his acerbic tone with his brother, he speaks to Marsh with a quiet intensity. Zed can choose, I think. We don't want to misrepresent our intentions. She folds her hands behind her back with a self-conscious sort of way, like someone who isn't quite adjusted to authority yet. Jinso and I are unfortunately occupied with camp administration, but you can pick anyone else to help you navigate. Interesting. I really like this little things we can pick up, like this, like someone who isn't quite adjusted to authority yet, and how people react to each other. I really like that. It's giving you little hints here and there through the text. Okay, so who do we want to follow? I'm interested in Trigger. He threw a fit and now nobody is even thinking about your leg. He's suspicious of you. I'm suspicious of him. I'm not suspicious of him. I feel like there's maybe a little bit more. Maybe he recognized me or something. I don't know. He's suspicious of you, so this is your opportunity to prove to him that you have nothing to hide. There's a lot of reason to pick Trigger, despite the obvious reason not to. Really? Jinso and Trigger ask at the same time in the exact same tone, which would be funny if you were less uncomfortable. Marsh snorts a little, covering her mouth. I mean, there's sense to it. Trigger is the one who thinks they're up to something. If I wanted to prove I meant no harm, I'd pick him too. Sounds a little like Marsh has our back. Sounds a little like walking up to the biggest asshole in a prison camp and punching him. I'm not gonna punch him. Let's see what I can do. Jinso protests, swiftly and instinctively ducking the swipe Trigger takes at him. Don't get me wrong, Zed, if that's what you want. No one's going to ask me, Trigger asks suddenly. I love that. Is there a problem? You don't get to treat me like that and then back out. I picked the head of security, that's it. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I picked the head of security, that's it. I'm not trying to target you. I'm not trying to ingratiate myself. I just want at least the illusion of protection. That's a little more self-aware than you usually run. But what do you mean usually run? Because it looks like we didn't really have much socialization apart from puja. Isn't that right? But great green wilderness forbid that he think he's getting especially spiteful treatment. Yay for me, he grumbles, but it's lacking the offense of before. Good. He sighs and runs his hands through his hair, then turns to Marsh. Fine, I'll keep an eye on them. I just wonder if we're gonna